in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. Have you ever been down and out? No one to look to, who can you call on? Seem like nothing is going your way, pockets turned thin, all of your cash gone. Then you face the east and hit your knees and spread your hands high to the Most High. Then He poured down a blessing too big to receive, cause He remember every time that you pay tithes. You see we all got problems, get your burdens, He all lay down your tribulations. You see we gotta be strong and courageous, like Yah commanded Joshua and Caleb. Don't nothing come easy in this world, everything that you need, best believe you gotta work for it. May have to go through the dirt for it, Yah conceals the thing, but it's a glory king, steady search for it. When the lights get dark, Yahweh keeps my candle glowing on. And when things seem like they too hard to handle, I'ma stay strong. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I lost someone I loved or a family member, and my heart grew cold as the snow in December, I looked to my left, then I looked to my right. No man in sight, but Yah was waiting straight ahead at the end of the light. Don't give up the fight, it's never too late as long as you got breath. And walk left for wickedness, Yah remove my steps. If I get a second chance, I'ma do my best. Be eyes to the blind, feet to the lame, a father to the poor, and I broke the jaws of the wicked. Plucked the spoil out of his dentures. When it against them, gave hope to those ready to perish. Caused the widow's heart to sing. I put on righteousness and it clothed me as a robe and diadem. Stay strong like Joe with my Elohim. Please Y'all redeem your holy seed. And those that's vain in the heart who don't think they gon' make it across, please help them see. See Yah. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. When the lights get dark, Yahweh keeps my candle glowing on. And when things seem like they too hard to handle, I'ma stay strong. When the lights get dark, Yahweh keeps my candle glowing on. And when things seem like they too hard to handle, I'ma stay strong. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. Keep going in the strength of Yah. Whenever I fall, He make me rise. Wipe my tears when they make me cry. Carry me on when they break my stride. Keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah. I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going, I'ma keep going in the strength of Yah.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is there and is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous. Yah is holy. And let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another day, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words, even the words of truth. My name is Mowreh IshYAH YIsraEL of the house of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, it is true. All we're going to do is tell you the truth. For Yah ordained me to tell you the truth, and this is what I'm going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YIsraEL, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king, he's our judge, he's our lawgiver, and Yah is our only Savior, and not just of Israel. Yah is the Savior of the world. And I thank Yah and praise Yah for allowing us to come before you another day. Today, we will be dealing with oppression. And yes, we will deal with the various oaths and promises, as well as the covenants that I also said we will be dealing with this week. But I had to deal with oppression today because once again, one of our brothers was slain by someone who's supposed to be protecting and serving our community. And the people who wear badges that say they're there to protect and serve actually seems to be the people who afflict our people the most. Now, don't get me wrong. It is true that our people are indeed oppressing one another. They have taken the page right out of the playbook of our enemies. And so they began to oppress one another. And Yahweh prophesied that this oppression would take place. We will see it, we will hear it, we will feel it, to the extent that one day you will hear a great cry that Yahweh is listening for. And there's various cries like a cry of a baby. A mother will know whether this baby is crying because it's hungry. A mother will know if this baby crying because they are hurting or sick. They will know if this baby is crying because of some type of fright or fear. Well, Yahweh know all cries. And we want you to see what Yahweh himself is listening for. This is real important to know because many of our people today, even though the vast majority of our people, they still don't acknowledge and see what's going on. But a very small few, they see what's happening. They are sounding the trumpet concerning what is happening. But then there's many not only don't care what's happening, not doing anything about what's happening, and they even refuse to acknowledge what is going on. And I know there are some, they desire to do this and to do that. In other words, some of our people rising up and saying, what can we do? What should we be doing as a result of what's going on? Well, let me share a few scriptures with you, not only about what should have been done a long time ago when we called people to do it, but also what you can do today. But first, let's get into this oppression. And what do you want to know about this oppression? The first thing you need to know about oppression is this. You'll find it in the book of Proverbs, the 3rd chapter. Here it is. Oppression is being televised. Before, our people, all they can do is tell their stories, but nobody believed them, even though they knew it was true. But now, the oppression is being televised. Our brother down in Atlanta, sleep in his car, woke up by the police, questioned, was no danger to no one, and then had to flee for his life and shot in the back. Now, police are trained that if someone is fleeing from you, they couldn't be too much of a danger to you, especially when you've already searched them and they didn't have anything on them. They were not in the midst of a crime. It was not like they were pulled over after robbing a bank or after robbing someone or stealing something. They were just asleep. And the police was called. And you mean to tell me being asleep in the parking lot justifies a killing? And of course it does not. And they shot this brother in the back. And that don't seem egregious today. Most of our people accept the fact that they were shot, especially if they resist arrest. The world have accepted this. Well, he shouldn't have resisted arrest. Well, people resist arrest all the time for many things that they should not resist arrest for. We got protesters out there that's resisting arrest. Who's shooting them down? Because they're resisting and protesting arrest. And here it is. That's egregious. But what makes that act even worse? Just like our brother George Floyd. It is this brother gets shots in the back. And you would think they would call an ambulance right away. But of course they did not. What we will learn they did do, one would put his feet and stand on. Our brother was short. Literally stand on him. And of course, they didn't show this in the videotapes because they knew the city would be torn up more than it was. And then the other cop also would kick him after he shot him. Yes, the one who shot him, after he shot him, he fell down after being shot, then he would kick him. For what? You already shot him. And the other one was staying on him. For what? He's already down. Here it is, all over the country, we still seeing our people being oppressed. It is being videotaped. We're hearing about lynchings, people hanging from trees. Last time we've been hearing that is 40s, 50s, 60s. But now all of a sudden, they want to hang black people in trees again. Now, I don't know who hung these people in the trees. I don't know if they hung themselves in a tree. But there is something grotesque. Well, even if you're committing suicide, what message are you trying to send to us that we find you hanging in a tree? And this is what's been going on. They had one officer, couple officers, apprehend a suspect, and they will put him in a chokehold in which they trying to ban, in which they should ban. And the officer put him in a chokehold. The other officer attempted to stop the officer and did stop the officer from the chokehold. Well, the officer that intervened was fired because they intervened in stopping another officer for putting somebody in a chokehold, in which in most states is banned, but not in all states. Nor is it a federal crime. The president just signed a bill recommending you stop this act, but he didn't order nobody to stop it. And this is what you call oppression. And this is what the scripture says in the book of Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to read verse 31. And this is what it says. Envy you not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. And unfortunately, we have chosen the ways of our oppressor. To the extent we have chosen the ways of our oppressors, so guess what we do? We oppress one another. And Yahweh prophesied we would do this. He said our enemies would do this, and of course we will follow suit. Because our desire is to be like everybody else, and not that we might be separated from other people. And watch what this prophecy says. in the book of Isaiah, the 3rd chapter. In the book of Isaiah 3. The first verse. For behold, Yahweh of hosts does take away from Jerusalem and from Yehudah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. The mighty man, the man of war, the judge and the prophet, the prudent and the ancient. In other words, this is just detailing how Yahweh will scatter us from our homeland. Watch what it says. Because when all important men are gone, mighty man, the man of war, you're going to wish, and today many people wish these type of men wasn't plentiful in our communities, but now they're not. And look at our communities today. The judge and the prophet, the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, the honorable man, the counselor, and the skillful craftsman, and the eloquent orator. In other words, these are men of stature, men that control the community, that rule the people, and judge the situations in our community. But watch this. 4th verse. And I will give children to be their princes, and babies shall rule over them. And as a result of these little children, these babies in our communities, in our schools, our community is in shambles. Nobody can control the kids. The parents can't control them. There's no honor in our community. There's no discipline. And everything the children are doing seem to be correct and effective in our community. But it's just the opposite. They are affecting our community in a grotesque way. It's called oppression. Watch what this says. See, you think it's the adults oppressing the children. But no, no, no. It's the other way around. Watch what it says in the 5th verse. And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, everyone by his neighbor. It's not the adults that's pulling out guns on one another. It's the children. It's not the adults that's killing and stealing and robbing each other. It's the children. It's not the adults that's misbehaving in our schools. It's the children. And watch what it says. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. And this was not happening in the 60s, nor was it happening in the 50s or the 40s when these things were happening. The children knew better to behave himself proudly against the ancient. No, this did not start happening until a certain generation. And let me tell you when that generation was born. They were born after 1979. This generation was born. To the extent, watching the book of Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, the 12th verse. As for my people, men are their oppressors. That ain't what it says. The fathers are their oppressors. No, it didn't say that either. Watch what it does say. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of your past. And why is your past destroyed in this situation? Because this situation, according to the scriptures, are totally out of order. And since it's so out of order, all we have today is oppression. And this oppression is not only within, this oppression is also without. Without. In other words, the inhabitants are the people whose land we're in. Yahweh said, not only we will oppress one another, but we also will be oppressed by our enemies. And watch how Yahweh says this so you can see. First, let me show you this in the book of Deuteronomy 28. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and the ironic thing about this is that our people can't even agree what time it is. Even though we've been oppressed, even though we're oppressing one another, even though our people are dying in the streets. When we watched our brother in Atlanta, he got shot in the back in the streets. When we watched our brother get out of his car, pose no threat, the only thing he owed was child support, start running, got shot in the back. Tried to act like George Floyd, used the fake $20 bill, and got choked to death in the street on video by 3 cops who was kneel on him and one on his neck. These are taking place in the street. Blood is being shed in the streets. And how many times do this blanket have to be thrown over a body in the streets of one of our people? The only time you see that is during the time of oppression. In Deuteronomy 28, the 28th verse, Yahweh shall smite you with madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart. And our people right today can't see this, won't acknowledge this. Watch what it says. And you shall grope at noonday as the blind gropes in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways. You shall be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save you. And no man is saving our people. Like they said, what has to happen? In other words, our people done took to the streets with signs saying Black Lives Matter. They had one man, Caucasian, he started ripping the Black Lives Matter signs off a fence. Little children did these signs, and they were on the fence of a playground. And of course, they had Black Lives Matter on there, little children. Well, this is a man, Caucasian, that worked for the courts, and he started ripping the signs off. And the person in the media was like, Black Lives Matter. And he said, not to me. And just started ripping the signs off. Of course, he's been fired, and he should have been fired. He said he ripping them off because he paid taxes. Like black people don't pay taxes, and they can't put signs on fences. They pay taxes too. He ain't the only one that pay taxes. But this is how oppression look. They think they can treat you any kind of way. They think they can behave any kind of way. And since they think that, since they believe that, they do that. But Yahweh said this is what they would do. Watch what he says in Deuteronomy 28 and 33. The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a nation which you know not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always, so that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes, which you shall see. And here it is. Our people mad at one another. Our people fighting one another. Our people are going against one another when we have a cruel enemy, a very cruel enemy that's killing us every day. So what sense does it make for us to be mad at each other? In other words, we don't know how to channel our energy into wisdom. For the scripture says wisdom is better than weapons of war. No wonder we don't know how to make war, for we have no wisdom. And wisdom will teach you that you must come together. And once you come together, then you allow the only one that can give you wisdom to direct you. I've had sisters and brothers and all kind of people around the country asking me, let's do this, or suggesting this, suggesting that, talking about this, talking about that. But as I stated before, there's a lot of things that needed to be done before the cry go up. And I want you to see what Yahweh is listening to and listening for now. I know we want to do things today, and you can. But I'm here to tell you that Yahweh now has turned his ear to listen for something else. See, before the evil comes, that's why the scripture says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather yourselves together, O nation, not desire. Before the decree bring forth, that's when you go and seeking Yah. That's where you go to seek humility. Before the decree bring forth. But once the decree bring forth, then what do? Well, I'm going to show you. But first, let me show you this. It's understandable why many desire to do something now. And this is why. In the book of Proverbs, the 12th chapter. And watch what it says. And this is not a criticism of anyone. I just want you to know the truth. And I want you to know how Yahweh see things. Watch what it says. In the book of Proverbs, the 12th chapter, the 10th verse. A righteous man regards the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. So it's understandable for us, even after you get shot, they still will stand on top of you with their feet. It's understandable. After they put the handcuffs on you, they will put their knee on your neck. It's understandable that when you get out your car and start running, they will shoot you in the back. All that is understandable to us because the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. These people actually call themselves with being merciful. That's why oftentimes when this shooting take place, the mass majority of the times, the police officers get off. Most times they're not fired. Oftentimes they're not charged. It's just of recent. The charges, the firings have taken place. Now the president want to meet with all the black families that had their loved ones killed. Well, this is years later. And then after meeting with them, he still praised the police officers. There was no real changes. So why meet with these families at all? Of course, many of our people met with him, but I wouldn't have. Meet with him for what? For him to lie to me? For him to look at the face of his victims? I wouldn't have gave him that pleasure. But, of course, our people did. And once again, oppression make even a wise man mad. And I can understand it. But I'm here to tell you that if this thing is not done in a timely manner, and that's to seek Yahweh, then Yahweh will only listen for one thing after that. So you want to go to Yahweh before, when it's just prophesied that the evil will come. You don't want to wait till the evil come and then begin to say, oh, let's such and such and such. Because Yahweh at that point is not going to be with you with such and such and such. And this is just how he works. And I want you to see how he works. But let me show you this so it can be on record. In the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. The 7th verse. And this is what it says. Surely oppression makes a wise man mad, and a gift destroys the heart. And this is all true. So we can understand why people are so mad, so upset, so deranged, so angry. But if you had done things before the evil comes, then Yahweh can prepare your heart in a way that will help you cope. And who did Yahweh say would do this oppression? As I stated before, not only the oppression come within, because children are our oppressors according to the scriptures, and women rule over us. But this is also our oppressor here. And watch what it says in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. And watch what it says in the 4th verse. And we're going to start at the 3rd verse. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow. And he hasn't done that yet. From your fear. And he have not done that yet. And from the hard bondage wherein you were made to serve. And he has not done that yet. That you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, and he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hinders. And that's what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with an oppressor. And the only way to take down an oppressor, you have to cause him to totally cease. You have to bring him down to ruin. But when will that be? Will it be when you throw sackcloth and ashes on your head and start crying? No. That will not cause it to stop. Will it happen if you fast? And the answer is no. It will not cease then. See, all these things will only help you if you did it before the evil come. Watch what the Creator lets us know in the book of Proverbs, the very first chapter. Watch what it says. Proverbs 1 and 22. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and the fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. And watch what the Creator lets us know. Because I've called and you refuse. And how did you refuse? Because you won't even recognize those who Yahweh will use to call you. You got people that's calling you, and they just the instrument that Yahweh will use to call you. But it's Yahweh is the one that's trying to get your attention. I've stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. In other words, Yahweh tried to take your hand. It was just through someone else, but you didn't recognize it because that's just a man. So you hear a man's voice, a man's hand, and these men can be wrong. These men can be mistaken. These men are not perfect. These men are just men. So therefore, watch the 25th verse. But you have set at nothing on my counsel, even though they've been telling you, and would have none of my reproof. Watch what Yahweh said he would do. 26th verse. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. When your fear comes as desolation. In other words, there's nothing you can stop. It's going to come with a destruction just like this. And your destruction comes as a whirlwind. In other words, one thing will happen, then another thing is going to happen, then another thing is going to happen, then another thing is going to happen. And when distress and anguish come upon you, and it will come upon you, you will become distressed. Anguish will take hold of you if it have not taken hold already. I know that it hasn't. Not everybody, but it will. Watch what it says. The 28th verse. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me earnestly, but they shall not find me. And why, Yahweh? Because you said if we seek you, we shall find you. And watch what he answered and said. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahweh. They were none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoever listens to me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil. And very few are listening to Yahweh. And he said you wouldn't listen to him, even though he called. He said he stretched out his hand, and no man regarded. So if Yahweh won't listen, Yahweh won't hear your calls when you are in distress, and when anguish comes upon you, and destruction comes as a whirlwind, and your fear comes as desolation, then you might ask, then what do we do when this happens? Well, there's only one thing you can do. It's only one thing you will do. And let me show you what that is. First, let's go to the book of Judges. Just show you this. In the book of Judges, the 10th chapter. And watch what this says, because I want you to understand the circumstance and the situation that we find ourselves in right as we speak. Because now the decree has went forth. This is why you've seen these things. Watch what it says. In the book of Judges, the 10th chapter, I'm going to read the 11th and 12th verse. Or 12 through 14. Starting at 11. And Yahweh said to the children of Israel, did not I deliver you from the Egyptians, from the Amorites, from the children of Ammon, from the Philistines, the Zidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Maonites did oppress you, and you cried to me, and I delivered you out of their hand. Yet you have forsaken me and served other gods. Therefore, I will deliver you no more. Go and cry to the gods which you have chosen, and let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. In other words, now Yahweh is only listening to one thing. And he's not listening to your prayers. He's not listening to you seek him. He's not listening for your acknowledgement now, because he gave you that opportunity. What Yahweh is listening for now is your cry, your pain, your suffering. And there's a certain pain, there's a certain suffering that you got to go through for Yahweh to deliver you. Now all he want to hear is your cry. So now, brothers and sisters, we have to suffer. And Yahweh been doing this since the beginning of time. And Yahweh said, I change not. He said, what has been is now. What shall be have already been. And Yahweh required that which is past. And watch what he let us know in the book of Genesis, the 4th chapter. Because as I stated before, Yahweh always gives you that opportunity to turn to him. He gave it to the city of Nineveh. He gave it to the children of Israel. You don't think he gave Noah and them the opportunity to be saved? Sure, and not just Noah. But once the water started coming down, made no mistake about it, it was too late. And watch what it says in a book in Genesis, the 4th chapter. The 8th verse. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother blood cries to me from the ground. And now are you cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. And now that Yahweh is beginning to see, and it's not enough yet, blood in the streets, he's listening for the cry. So we can't do this fake crying thinking that we might be able to save our people. No. Yahweh is listening for the real cries today. Yahweh is listening for the pain and suffering that he had to endure in watching us act a fool. And now we can't plead anyone's cause because we did that. Now is the time of pain and suffering. Now the only thing you can do is hear the babies cry. Watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 18th chapter. In the book of Genesis 18. And we're going to start reading at the 20th verse. And Yahweh said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come to me. And if not, I will know. Now it's time to cry. But our people, they can do this fake crying all they want. But that's not the cry Yahweh is listening for. Yahweh is listening for the pain and the suffering type of cry that you will see and feel with your own soul. Watch what it said when they went down to Sodom and Gomorrah, because this cry was so great in Genesis, the 19th chapter. The 13th verse. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is grown great before the face of Yahweh. And Yahweh has sent us to destroy it. Because there come a time where now it's too late to stay what Yahweh has pronounced evil to you. And Yahweh already let us know that he's returning. He's returning with his anger. So he said, seek righteousness. He said, seek meekness, that you might be hid in the day of his anger. And now that Yahweh is angry and the decree has went forth, there's nothing you can do but prepare yourselves to cry. Know that it's coming. Know that it's near. And know that this must be done. And don't think you've escaped Yahweh's anger, Yahweh's wrath, because you have not. Yahweh said this he would do. And he said his word would not come back to him void. This is how Yahweh this is what he do. He gives you a chance. He show you the possibilities. And then he say, you choose. In the book of Exodus 2. Watch what it says. In the book of Exodus, the 2nd chapter, the 23rd verse. And it came to pass, in the process of time, that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel groaned by reason of the bondage. And they cried. And their cry came up to Elohim by reason of the bondage. In other words, their cry did not come up to Elohim because of their sins. Their cry did not come unto Elohim because they were sorrowful and put on sackcloth and ashes. No. Their cry came by reason of bondage. Watch what it says. And Elohim heard their groanings. In other words, he heard their pain. And Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Yaakov. And Elohim looked upon the children of Israel, and Elohim had respect unto them. And why? Because of their pain. And we are yet to feel the pain that will cause our people to cry out as a woman in travail. As a matter of fact, we refuse to cry out. And even if you cry today, it won't do you no good, because Yahweh gave you an opportunity before the decree went forth. Watch what it says in the book of Exodus, the 3rd chapter, the 7th verse. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. And look what our taskmasters are doing today. They are killing our people in the streets. And you ask yourself, well, how many more people got to die before our cries heard? And let me tell you, many more. many more. A verse. And I've come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and bring them up out of the land to a good land, a large, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I've also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. See, Yahweh sees everything. Yahweh knows everything. Yahweh hears everything. Why? How you think he can hear our cry? So you don't think Yahweh hearing the cry of our people? Sure he is. But he knows that their pain is not going to change them. Not right now. He hears the cries of our families. But Yahweh still lets us know who our oppressors are. He said, children are your oppressors, and women rule over you. Yahweh says, choose, envy thou not the oppressor, which is also our enemy, and choose none of his ways. He said, how has the oppressor ceased, which have not ceased yet? And Yahweh gave us laws. He let us know what he would do to those who would oppress. He told us the type of heart that we must have. He let us know how he will punish those who would oppress. Yahweh despised oppression. But nobody want to listen. Nobody want to hear. Yahweh said, I done stretched out my arm, but you refuse. I've called you, and no man regarded. And still to this day, you don't even know who your counselors are who come in the name of Yahweh. You think you can counsel with just anybody, but you don't know who the true counselors of Yahweh are. Those who will represent the Most High and his words. So therefore, you refuse. Therefore, you won't even regard. And therefore, Yahweh won't listen to you. And Yahweh won't regard you. As you have done, so is Yah doing to you. And it's all because we're all out of order. And order must be put back in place. There will be many that will fight and reject this order. And there will be some that Yahweh called the remnant will answer the call, will do what is expected, and Yahweh called them his remnant. And let me show you what Yahweh got for those who have rejected. his law concerning oppression. In the book of Isaiah 49, watch what it says. The 24th verse. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus says Yahweh, even the captains of the mighty shall be taken away. The prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contends with you, and I will save your children. And I will feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior, your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov. So in other words, this is the punishment of those who will oppress. But you still will be oppressed. You just got to get saved from it. You could have just hearkened and listened to the word of Yahweh and did what he said do before the decree came forth. But no, you had to be oppressed. And now, when you cry, Yahweh is not going to just be there right away. Ultimately, he will deliver. Ultimately, he will save for his holy name's sake. But make no mistake about it, you're going to have to cry. And he's listening for a certain type of cry. It is probably, and I don't know, I just know it's pain and suffering. Here it is, George Floyd was an example to all. He cried on the ground for his life, called out for his mother, and there was no one to save him. Well, who's going to save you in the time of your cry? This is what Yahweh really wants you to know. In the book of Malachi, the 3rd chapter, just a couple more scriptures. The 5th verse. It says, and I will come near to you for judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, against the adulterers, against the false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in their wages, the widow, the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. And fear not me, said Yahweh of hosts. So there's a lot of people, Yahweh is coming swiftly to judge. Oppression is not just the police shooting us down, putting their knees on our neck. Many of these companies that our people work for, they know they're oppressing you with the wages that you're being paid. Many of the city, the government officials know that you're being oppressed because they make the laws that actually oppress you. And the people know you're being oppressed because they know that they've been silent for a long time and have allowed generation after generation after generation to be oppressed with nothing to be said other than go back to Africa, other than Black lives don't matter, other than everything's all right. We don't see no problems. Now all of a sudden they want to see problems. Well, we've lost generations of people. But you're being silent. You're not doing nothing. If your voices was heard many generations ago, maybe we wouldn't be in the circumstance, the pitiful situation that we find ourselves in. Therefore, when you find yourself in a pitiful situation that you will be in, let's see who will plead your cause. Because make no mistake about it, Yahweh said his word will not come back to him void. How has the oppressor ceased? Well, he hadn't ceased yet. But make no mistake about it, he will. And one of the last scriptures I want you to see in the book of Psalms, Psalms 103. The first verse. Watch what it says. Bless Yahweh, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfies your mouth with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagle. And watch this 6th verse. Yahweh executes righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. This is our salvation. This is our hope. This is the thing that gives us the greatest hope, that Yahweh execute righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. And make no mistake about it, oppression is what we're seeing. Oppression is what is happening today. And oppression is what you and I will be delivered from. But it won't be until Yahweh hear a cry that only Yahweh know what it sound like. So until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Yo, Yah come in the volume of the book. His word is life, so we got the killers shook. Wisdom was in the chief places from the beginning to enlighten the sons of men. But the fighting among twins ushered in sin, and brothers been beefing ever since. Yah come in the volume of the book by the truth and sell it not. So we got these robbers out here shook. Understanding is departing from evil. He flooded the earth once and there'll be no sequel, but the fire next time. That's why I'm the messenger refined in the fire of affliction, opening your eyes to the foolish ways and the devil's contradictions. Singing to Allah, to my Yah. Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim.
I praise John summer and winter season, and dismiss the statues was taught by these heathens. Y'all give me the reason to call them out, only misleading and treasons. A man's heart that was given to these beastlings, no one not even. Back to seeking the heart of Yah. 7 is what he requires for the draw silver to be polished by fire. Constantly led by my Elohim, who visits messengers through visions or a dream. Slaves that were formerly your king will one day rise and seek the purpose of their being. The feeling is serene. The Israel is a prince who has power with Elohim and man. And no longer do we advance or realize the reaches of the stars upon the shoulder, but promotion coming by Yah, who can take it thus far. Give him YAH'S not salat to the Almighty Yah.
Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Hallelujah. Singing to Allah, to my Yah, to my Yah.